So I call this the founder effect. I guarantee if you're on the lead gen burnout cycle, you're just working with leads all day, you're wasting your energy, you're wasting your time. And if you're a founder, a business owner, if you're in B2B, B2C, I guarantee this is happening to you and you would understand what I mean once I dive into it. So like I made this tweet the other day, and it didn't go super viral, but it went very viral for me at least in terms of like who I'm targeting. Because if you're very specific with who you're talking to, they will listen. But anyways, I put 90% of my energy into clients and the other 10% are just for leads. What am I talking about here? Well, I'm talking about the idea of just energy in terms of the movement of energy and the flexibility of my business. Because at the end of the day, right, like if you're talking to leads 24/7, you're talking to a bunch of maybes. And we don't like that in our business. We don't tolerate like maybes. We want to tolerate either a yes or a no, because those will help you feel less fatigued and you don't have to feel so anxious all the time. And it's like, it doesn't have to be a problem. So let's sort of attack the problem of like why you're burnt out first. So like you're probably talking to leads more than clients. You're doing a bunch of sales calls that are a bunch of maybes. You're DMing people that are, again, leads that you think might work. But again, DMing works if you know what you're doing, but also you can also close on DM if you know what you're doing. Writing plus working on content, you're doing some type of service delivery with your service. Again, it's not for you, done with you, whatever you're doing, right? You're doing one of those things or you're doing all of those things. And that's the reason why you're burnt out. But I want to talk about the sales process of what you're doing right now. Because I guarantee this is how your funnel looks like to an extent. I'm sure you've seen it. I'm sure many people have seen it. Leads, prospects, and customers. Like you bring them down to that funnel until they can transact with you. And then you're doing some kind of a sales call that they didn't even pay you for. You just do it for free. And then you give them some level of conversation. And then you try to objection handle. Like I get it. These things work traditionally. Like if you're good at it, you get a 30 to 40% close rate on cold outbound. But the problem is that if you do these things and you're a founder and you don't have a team, you don't have a VA, you don't have any setters or any closers in your team or anybody to do it for you, you're wasting energy. You're wasting time on like objection handling. And then at the end of the day, I guarantee if you're doing like 10 hours, 12 hours, 16 hours and you're just doing meetings all day, you're going to be very burnt out. And then if you want to do service delivery, you're going to burn out and then you're going to be like, oh, why am I doing this? And you hate yourself and you hate your life. And I don't think that's how you should do business, guys. You should actually do it the opposite way around. And I'll dive into in a second what I mean by all these things. So like, second, how do you actually fix it? Well, if we understand that energy is the main component in terms of like how we structure our business and the way it works, so we should just focus on energy. So focus your energy on clients more than leads. It sounds obvious, but a lot of people don't do it, and I just don't understand, guys. Like, I just don't understand. Like, your goal is to operate a system. So get a team and AI in place. Again, I have both for myself. Get it in place so that you don't have to do all the work. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me, guys. Like, why are you guys focusing so much energy on like a bunch of things when you should just focus on the main important thing, which is like helping your clients and talking to your clients? And again, some people don't have clients. Like, I understand that, but like, you have to think about it. Like, we understand the process of like working like on our business and not in our business, but I don't think people like truly see it. So here's the visual. You just don't think about the bottom, think about the top. So inflows and then outflows and the state of the system. So the way that this works is that the way that your energy moves, right, in my opinion, is that the more flexible you are in your business, the more flexible your offers are, the more flexible your system is, the less likely you end up with this quote unquote lead gen burnout cycle. Because lead gen burnout cycle is just you trying to generate more leads. But the question is, you got to ask yourself, is like, do I want to build a $10 million, $20 million, $100 million enterprise or private equity or whatever it is and sell it? Or do I want to build a freedom business? And I guarantee most coaches, consultants that are on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on X, right? Most of you guys are like, you guys want to build a freedom business of like, 1 million to 3 million. And you guys are not like following that. I don't know what it is, but like you guys have to think about operating a system that just works versus you always operating the system yourself. And I get it, like, because you're sold the idea of like all these other gurus. I'm not gonna say that they're gurus, but they're people online that are other business people, right? Like Dan Coe, Justin Welsh, Alex Ramosi, Iman Gaji, Andrew Tate, etc., Luke Belmar, all these people, right? They're selling you this idea that you have to work your ass off, become very, very special. You don't. You need to build a business that's very, very flexible for your lifestyle. And that's how you create a freedom business that adapts to you instead of, you trying to adapt to it. Like the monk mode stuff. Like, I get it. I understand where it comes from, but it's not the best thing. So third, this is how you quote unquote fix it, or like, not really fix it, but sort of just understand the analogy, and then you can sort of incorporate it into your business. So third, focus plus energy equals flexibility. As I mentioned, right? The more flexible you are, like with your offers, with your business, with everything that you do, the more adaptable you are. But also, when you're flexible, right, it makes it very easy to move. And I feel like, you guys are very rigid. Like, because of the monk mode stuff and the stuff that people push, I get it, discipline, hustle culture, I understand the Gary V's, but the thing is that if you hustle and grind, like, you can do it in your early 20s, you can do it in your mid 20s, but you can't do it in your late 30s or mid 30s or 30s, whatever it is. And if you're running a business at that time, you would understand what I mean. You want to build a freedom business that's flexible, that adapts to you. So this is why I personally don't like content calendars and daily routines, because daily routines and content calendars, they make you rigid. They make you very like stoic, like you have to go do all these things. I'm sure you've seen it like since 2020, since COVID-19. They've always tried to do this rigid type of schedule, but the problem is that it will get you a result, but you won't feel fully satisfied. And that's what I would say for myself. I don't know about you, but that's how I feel about myself. So instead of that, you should do what you like, but do it to an extent where you still feel fulfilled by doing like at least 1 to 2 to 3 activities a day of that thing that you want. Like, for example, right? All I do is like either write my email, do my X post, and probably talk to a client. That's it. Sometimes I talk to leads, but very few. So creativity is more about feel than fact, and I'll show you exactly what I mean instead of telling you. So this here is just an image of a film that I really love in terms of like just the visual aspects, right? Like, if we think about like our life, right? If you can picture yourself in terms of like changing your life and where you want to go, right? And in terms of creativity, like I'm sure you guys had it, like you heard of the saying Ikigai. I don't really like it myself, but we have to understand that flow happens every single day. It's just that, we have to be able to track these things and we have to be able to see it. And to see it, right, for me at least, I see it through films. But for you, it might be very, very different. Going to a specific place, going to a cafe, going to a specific location, wherever that is. You guys have to think in flow. By thinking in flow, it makes you more flexible in terms of like how you want your energy to be used. Because if you know where you're going, right, in terms of your energy, and you know how you feel every time you do it, there's certain hours of the day that you feel flow. Like for me, for instance, I'm making this video right now because I'm feeling a level of flow and I feel very excited to talk about this thing. And it makes it very fulfilling, right? Because at the end of the day, I feel like most founders, most business owners that do a business online, they don't want to actually like do the business stuff. They don't want to do the lead gen. They don't want to talk to like the clients. What they actually want is like, they just want to be in flow. They want to feel that fulfillment. And to feel that, you got to be able to do that. And to do that, you got to be able to track it. And to track it, you got to be able to see what you're doing every single day. That creates that level of, I guess you could say, inspiration. For me, this is like what inspires me to feel this type of way. But for you, it might be different. But once it gets you in the flow, you understand that your energy moves very smoothly. And you feel very fulfilled at the end of the day. Versus very like sucked into your business with a bunch of leads and doing sale meetings. Because it sucks, I guarantee. So like, this is my thought process in terms of like what you want. And I might be wrong, but I guarantee like 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, most people that are online building a business, they want a freedom business. They don't want a lead gen business. They don't want to build a business that's like, just for the sake of getting leads, getting clients, and blah, 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 hitting 10 million, hitting 20. Like, those things are cool. But like, if you're going to get old, which you will, and you will die, right? So like, why build so many like, complex systems instead of just make something that's very simple and just operates? And that's how you have to think. You have to think lean and fast and smooth. Like, this is how I think of my freedom. I don't know how you picture it. But you want to be able to picture yourself in a certain destination of where you want to go. Because the direction is what will lead people and lean in to sort of what you want and what you want to do. And this is how you get like leads and clients, etc., to actually talk to you. And if you're wondering, just go to my X and I'll show you how, or go to my newsletter. But this is the fundamental idea of everything. So creative flow equates to flexibility. Flexibility equates to being happier or happiness in terms of your business. And this is all equated to having better clients and better systems and better operations. Because think about it, guys. Think about creative flow like water. Water is very flexible. And because of how flexible it is, it's not like a rock that's stuck in one place. It can adapt and move. And when your business can do that, I'm telling you, if you're able to convert from customers, like from cold leads, to selling them your ideas, and then from there converting them into a customer, and then from there you convert them from a customer to a client, and then from a client to a top client or a main client, and then from there you're gonna have like 5 different avenues of like making different levels of money. Like the money will go up and down, obviously, but the thing is that this lets you move more in your business. Instead of doing the high ticket offer thing, I understand where it comes from. You know, you sell like 5-10% of your audience. You sell it for like, I don't know, 5-10K, whatever it is, or like 3K. And then like 5% of them buy, and then the other 95% don't buy, and you just have a list of giving them quote unquote free value, but then they leave. You know, I'm sure you've been through that. Instead of that, this is what you should focus on. Focus on creative flow and think of making your business more flexible with your offers. And I call these access offers, if you're wondering how it works. Like, again, plug, DM me on X, go to my X, follow me on X, or subscribe on my YouTube. I might put a video out there one day. Or go to my newsletter, and I'll show you exactly the process of how that works. So, anyways, I'll leave it at that. If there's any more questions, again, let me know. But I recommend, again, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're a founder, business owner, let me know your thoughts on this. Because this is how, like, in terms of business, this is how I think. It's like, it's all about energy more than anything else. Your energy is the number one most important thing. And then everything else is like, it just goes as a byproduct. And it just operates as a system.